Good morning from South Louisiana. This is darlacansell. I am a realtor with Real Brokers serving all of Acadiana, most of Louisiana, but especially in my hometown of Acadia Parish. I absolutely love helping people buy or sell. Actually, I'm on my way right now to a listing appointment for a home in the Hathaway school zone area. So if you know of anyone, I know that that's a hot area because the schools are amazing in that area and there aren't many places that come for sale. So if you're looking for something, the details of that one will be coming as soon as I get them. So y'all, Saturday morning, it's bright and early. If you are a potential buyer, if you're thinking about buying in the next few weeks, in the next few months, these are some things that I'm going to tell you that will definitely help you save money if you are a buyer. The very first most important thing that you can do as a buyer before you start looking, before you start house hunting, is get yourself an amazing realtor who you know closes lots and lots and lots of deals, because that realtor should be great at negotiating for you. As the buyer, your absolute main goal is to get whatever you're trying to purchase for the best price, and not just the price, but the best terms. Let's say that you, or the most important thing to you isn't necessarily price, but it's that is the seller going to agree to pay all of your closing costs. So if you are a buyer, believe it or not, I think for a family up to 4, and don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I think it's around $130,000. If you're a first-time home buyer and your family of 4 or less people makes less than $130,000, and it's around that number. I'm not sure if it's 120 or 138. It's something around there, but around 130-ish. You probably can qualify, if your credit is halfway decent, for 100% financing on a house, which means that as a buyer, you potentially can purchase a home without any money. So if you have decent credit, if you're a first-time home buyer, and if you make approximately under $130,000 a year and you're in a family of less than 4, you potentially could qualify for what's called an RD loan, a USDA loan. Some of you would just call it a government loan. You very well may qualify for 100% financing. You hear lots of people say they got an FHA loan. And a lot of times, if people don't qualify for a USDA loan or an RD loan, most people qualify for an FHA loan. The terms aren't as stringent with credit scores, and if your debt to income ratio is a little higher, you may qualify for an FHA loan, which means you will need 3.5% down of the purchase price. 3.5% down. Still, if you have an amazing realtor on your side who is great at negotiating, very well could probably negotiate that the closing costs are all paid for you. There are so many different ways to do that. So if you are a buyer, number one, find yourself a realtor who you know, who you like, and who you trust, but not just that, who you know closes lots and lots and lots of deals. Because listen, even if you have a realtor who you know, you like, and you trust, if they don't close lots of deals, it doesn't matter how much you know them, how much you like them, and how much you trust them. Can they get the job done is the most important thing. As a buyer, you want the best terms, the best price, the best everything, and you're only going to get that if you have someone that closes lots of transactions. And listen, I list lots and lots and lots of houses, so from the seller standpoint, I get to see other realtors who represent the buyer who, listen, just aren't that great sometimes, who send some dumb offers, and I know that the buyer could have gotten a way better deal. But listen, when I'm representing the seller, my goal for the seller is to get them the maximum amount of profit in the shortest amount of time. Two totally different goals. So if I'm working with you as the buyer, my job is to get you the absolute lowest price with the best terms, and the exact opposite for the seller. So if you are a buyer, number one, find yourself a realtor who you know closes lots and lots and lots of transactions, who is great at negotiating. And then number two, that person is going to set you up with a lender. And listen, most of the time, that's not a bank, okay? Lots of people believe that, and I tell you, I get this call probably 90% of the time. When I get a call to look at a house, the very first question I say is, are you pre-approved? And this is what most people say. No, I haven't gone to the bank yet. Listen, probably all, if not 99% of banks are going to require you to have 20% down to buy a house, okay? The difference between a regular bank and a mortgage broker is that a mortgage broker specializes in only home loans. Therefore, that is their specialty, that's their expertise. They can get you the best rates, the best amount of money down, the best all the things. Where a bank gives out all kinds of loans and are not necessarily just specializing in mortgages, right? So whenever you are thinking about buying a house, number one, choose a realtor who you know, like, and trust, but that you know closes lots and lots and lots of transactions on a regular basis and loves negotiating, because you're going to want somebody on your side who's negotiating for you so that you as the buyer have to do nothing. You basically show up at the house, pick the house that you like, and that realtor should take it from there. Listen, I'm on my way to the Hathaway area to list a house right now. Going through Egan, I may lose y'all for a second, but hopefully I will come back if I do lose you. Okay, so number two, you want to get pre-approved. You want your realtor to recommend the best mortgage broker in the area who's known for closing deals and who is trustworthy. Listen, there are, not many, but there are a handful of lenders, mortgage brokers who will tell you all these things, and they're unscrupulous and they're not trustworthy, and you want to run. And you only know that if you choose a realtor who you know, like, and trust, who is going to set you up with a mortgage broker or a lender who they know, like, and trust, and they have worked with them over and over and over again and know that they're honest and that they get the job done. Listen, I very, very much believe that 99% of people are good, but there are a few bad apples in every industry. So align yourself with someone who you know, like, and trust, who can recommend those other people. So number one, choose a great realtor. Number two, have them recommend a mortgage broker who can get you pre-approved, and not pre-approved for whatever they can pre-approve you for. You have to have in mind, when you want to go start house hunting, what is my maximum amount for a house every month? Knowing that that includes your house note, your insurance. If it's in an area that requires flood insurance, that's flood insurance, and that's your taxes. So those four things, three if you don't have flood insurance, but those things go into your note. So when you talk to a lender or a mortgage broker, you say, this is the maximum amount that I want to pay per month. Do not pre-approve me for more than that. Because the worst thing that would happen is they pre-approve you for way more than you ever want to spend, and you don't have that conversation about your note. So make sure you have a maximum amount. So when you call your realtor up, you're going to say, listen, I've been pre-approved for this amount, and you know that that amount equates to this note, okay? So is that note $1,000 a month? Is it $1,500 a month? Is it $1,700? What is that number? But stick to your number and only allow them to pre-approve you for that amount. You do not want to get in a situation where you're house poor. Listen, I get calls all the time when people are having to sell because they cannot afford the house that they bought maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. They are house poor and they're having to sell it because they're struggling, because when all your money goes to a house, then what else are you going to do? You still have to live, right? And everything now is outrageous. We know the prices of everything is going up. So don't get into a position where you're house poor get into a position where you feel comfortable paying that note. So if you're renting right now, let's just say, and your rent is $1,500 a month, and you feel like $1,500 is a good number, but if I bought a house, I maybe could do $2,000, then that's the number you say, listen, only pre-approve me for this amount. And when you get pre-approved, this is what you do next. This is what I say to people do. Go look online at Realtor.com, at Zillow, at Truly, at all those places. And if you're pre-approved for $200,000, look at all those kinds of houses in the areas that those houses look like in that budget, okay? What are the houses looking like? How much are they selling for? And I always tell people this: if you see a house that's been sitting on the market for a long time, and let's say you're pre-approved for $200,000, but it's listed for $215,000 or $220,000. Listen, the longer a house sits on the market, the more the sellers are willing to negotiate the majority of the time, okay? Because if they have their house for sale, it's probably because they have to sell it. So just know those kinds of things, but you want a realtor who knows those kinds of things, right? And who isn't scared to go out and try to get you the deal that you need based on your needs and based on your budget. Guys, what an amazing Saturday it is. Like I said, I'm on my way to a listing appointment in the Hathaway area. It's Hathaway School Zone. And so if you know of anyone who's looking for a house in the Hathaway School Zone, I'm going to have those details pretty soon. Y'all have a great Saturday, and remember this: in real estate, there are no stupid questions. Listen, it can be complicated, but it shouldn't be complicated for you if you're the buyer or the seller, if you have a realtor who knows what they're doing. It shouldn't feel complicated. It shouldn't be stressful. It should be basically the realtor doing all the work for you, doing all the thinking for you, and helping you navigate through the process. So remember, there are no stupid questions. Ask your questions. It's the only way you're going to learn. Y'all have a great weekend. Take care.